just you. Shh. The hunt has evolved. Get to the chopper! Get to the chopper now!
Where's the chopper?
Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my spoiler-free review for The Predator. Now, my take on The Predator might be different than a lot of others who grew up watching the franchise. I didn't grow up watching this franchise, and I didn't see any movies in this franchise until about a week and a half ago. So, about a week and a half ago, I watched the first Predator, then I watched the second, then I watched the third, so I got the theological analysis for the first one up, my spoiler talk up for the second one, and my spoiler talk up for the third one, so you could go through right now and you could check out my thoughts of watching this franchise for the first time ever. So as I review this movie, that's more of the perspective I'm coming from, like just fresh eyes on this franchise for the first time. And now I've kind of watched all four of these movies pretty close together and watched all of them for the very first time. So really, it's all kind of new to me. So my take of The Predator: it was awesome. I had a blast with this movie. I thought it was a really good, solid action flick, and it just had a lot of really great characters and a lot of really great moments in it. Now, my wife, she was reading what other reviewers have said, and apparently a lot of other reviewers are not a huge fan of the comedy, saying it was a little bit heavy. And you know what? I mean, compared to the other three, yeah, it is a little bit heavier on the humor and the comedy in this one than it was in the other ones. But when you go back to Arnold Schwarzenegger's 1987 Predator movie, I mean, you got the one dude who's just got this disposable razor on him, so when he's in the jungle and he's sweating and he's bored, he just pulls out the razor and just shaves, you know? He's the typical picture of the tough guy. He's just, I mean, like, they all kind of have their quirky character moments and funny things like that, and there's moments, you know, like that in Predator 2, you know, especially with Bill Paxton and
Tee it high and let it fly.
Ow! Now, when you get into The Predator, it is a bit heavier on that comedy, but I didn't mind it so much because I felt like it worked with the characters and it worked with this particular story. So you got, what's his name? Boyd Holbrook, who plays Quinn McKenna, and basically he's a sniper, and so he's there when the first, you know, Predator ship crashes and all that stuff, and then gets arrested because he's seen the alien, so he gets thrown on the bus, and you've seen this scene in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. So that group of guys that he meets, there's a group of guys that he works with throughout this whole movie, and so the chemistry between them is fantastic, and the comedy between them is really good, but it works. Like I said, it's like, it really is, to me, when I was watching it, it's an action-packed, intense, sci-fi horror film, and it's really, really good. It's just the chemistry between these guys, they're pretty darn funny. And, I mean, come on, you had Keegan-Michael Key in this, and that guy's pretty darn funny whatever he does, and I like seeing him on screen, and he really did a fantastic job in this. But see, what I liked is the humor kind of endeared me to the characters in this little troupe. Like, it endeared me to these band of people that have decided to stand up against these predators, and so, like, the humor amongst them endeared me to them, and I really cared who was going to live and who was going to die, and I was really hoping they were all going to live. So for me, the humor worked. It helped with the bonding between the characters. It was great chemistry with them all. So for me, that worked. However, I will say, yes, they did lean a little more on humor in this one than they did in any other one. But when I was going into this movie, having just watched the other ones all back to back to back, all I really wanted out of this one, well, two things. I wanted it to be better than Predator 2. I don't hate Predator 2, but it's like it's like the weakest one in the franchise. I just wanted it to be better than that one, and I wanted to have an absolute blast with this movie, and I didn't expect it to be something I liked more than Predator. I didn't expect it to rise to that level, and I got everything I expected. It didn't rise to the level of being better than Predator. It didn't really tie. I mean, the first Predator is just awesome, but it had a ton of fantastic action, and oh my gosh, like, when the ship crashes and our lead character is sitting there with his gun, he's going around the ship, and all of a sudden you hear that score that you know the Predator's around there somewhere. You hear that music that you hear in the first Predator movie. So they did a really great job with a lot of great callbacks to the other films in the franchise with the musical score. I mean, they dropped, the 87 incident and the 97 incident. So, like, they dropped little things like that. So it's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I just watched all that. It's really cool that they're just acknowledging that history, and I really enjoyed moments like that. So, you know, Gary Busey was Peter Keyes, who had the task force in Predator 2. Well, now Gary Busey's real life son is playing a character named Keys in this movie. So it was like this another really great nod, and there were little Easter eggs and nods like that just kind of took it all back, and I just thought that is so cool. And so I was having a lot of fun with stuff like that. Again, I had just watched these 3 movies within a week and a half, back to back to back for the first time ever, going straight into this one. So maybe that shaped my experience a little bit. Maybe my thoughts would be different if I saw it a second time, which, by the way, I had enough fun with this that I really would be willing to see it a second time. But that was my expectation. I just wanted a fun, violent action movie, and I got a fun, violent sci-fi horror / little bit of comedy action movie. So I had a lot of fun with the movie. It was a fun experience, and I'm glad I saw it on the big screen. I think it's definitely something worth seeing on the big screen. I had a blast with it. I enjoyed all of its little callbacks. I enjoyed all the characters. It was really cool. Olivia Munn, she did a great job mixing in with the troupe and her humor and all that stuff. I just think it all worked together so well. So I'm giving this a B+. I really just cared about the characters, and the funny thing is, so the super predator versus the normal predator, that was all really cool and stuff, but what really got me going was the human villains. There's one particular bad guy in particular. Oh, you have a way with words, Durbin. One in particular bad guy that just got under my skin. So as cool as the super predator was and the normal predator was, to me, they were just the monsters they were fighting. But the human was the real monster to me. So I don't know whether that's a positive or negative. The ending was weird. And I haven't decided weird good or weird bad. I'm not going to blow the ending for you at all. I'm just saying, I'm still undecided. But even if I decide it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, it still wasn't the worst ending. It just wasn't what I expected. And maybe that's a good thing, or maybe that's different. I don't know. But I will be curious, should we go forward, what's going to happen. Anyway, so if you saw The Predator, would you give it a B+? Would you give it a higher grade, lower grade? What do you think of The Predator? Let's talk about it in the comments. While you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and the bell by the subscribe button so you're notified for my next movie review, theological analysis, ranking video, or anything else I do here. You'll be notified right when that drops. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.